Hi, I'm Dan from Stanton Bikes. We're going to be doing a tech talk today, and this is how we're going to be running our tech talks from now on. So what we're going to be doing is bringing in different members of staff from around the building to talk about the different aspects that they do here. So right through from welding and manufacturing, through to painting and decaling, through to sales, through to videography if Joe fancies getting involved. Okay, so today's chat is going to be about materials, steel, and why we choose Reynolds 853 and Reynolds 631 over standard 4130 chromollies and such like. Okay, so, and I should also say that I'm sat here with Stu. Stu is in charge of general operations here at Stanton, but he also has a degree in mechanical engineering from Warwick. Okay.
Indeed.
So, where do we start?
Well, I suppose probably the first kind of thought is that a lot of people ask, why do we make our bikes in steel? Before really getting to the nuances of, 853 versus 631 versus 4130 chromo or plain gauge and that sort of stuff. So, why would I choose a steel bike over, a general aluminium hardtail? Is often a question you get asked. And generally the correct sort of response I kind of give to that one really is that the way aluminium and steel work is actually they've got very different mechanical properties from the way they actually structurally remain sound. So aluminium, if you actually make it too flexible, over time it work hardens and eventually then cracks.
Yeah.
Which is what you often see on like full sussers and things like that. So generally you have to then overbuild it to make it super stiff. So I'm guessing really that the reason why we went down the steel route is for the compliance that then gives.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it works? Or?
Well, yeah, for me basically, I used to work in a bike shop and I used to smash around on all the demo bikes and this, that and the other, and I always found that steel frames were far more compliant, far more comfortable. It's like one of the main things that you want from your bike is basically that it's confidence inspiring, that it assists you on the trail. So basically if your eyes are like this, as you're smashing down a run, it's not what you want, is it? So steel offers, it's a far more supple material as you just expressed there. So aluminium hardtails that we used to rock around on, we always found that they shook your bones apart. So then a case that was even all the staff and everything, we always used to ride around on old Genesis latitudes, Genesis altitudes, charge blenders, original Kotick 26-inch wheel 853 frames. And we always found that Reynolds frames had a greater level of compliance than other other steel frames. I found that going through it, they're always lighter as well. And after now, having been through the whole process, obviously there's a reason as to why that was. And it was generally because if it's a 4130 tube, it has to be thicker. The wall thicknesses have to be thicker because if it's tensile strength.
Yeah, it's just weaker material. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weaker material. Basically, I think what is it? Like an 853 frame, was it 1,400 Pascal? Whereas your a standard 4130 heat treated 4130 tube only comes up like 660, 700 Pascal.
And when you're talking about like 1400 or 630 megapascals, what's that actually relate to? So is that kind of you're talking about sort of bending strength or tensile strength, or you're talking about compression?
Like it's tensile strength. So basically, I tell you what, you'd be better off.
So effectively, to get the strength of the frames that you want, you could go down the plain gauge chromo. Yeah. But then to get the same sort of level of strength, you have to put a much bigger, thicker wall thickness into the tube set.
Yeah.
So then that adds weight, and then also takes the flexibility back out the frame. So to get the strength that you need, you end up with a really heavy, harsh riding frame.
That's right. Yeah.
To get the same strength overall to take like your big forks and all that kind of stuff. Whereas 853 Reynolds is pretty much 3 times stronger in tensile strength. So then you can run thinner wall thicknesses throughout the tubes. Yeah. Which is imagine a new word called wall tubes.
I like that word.
Wall tubes?
Wall tubes.
Wall tubes, painting that one. So therefore you can actually then run thinner walls on the tubes, get the strength of your well so your frame doesn't fall apart, but also then get that nice compliance back into the main triangle frame.
I remember, I think with Brant Richards, I think it was around 2009. What was it? It was either working for Ragley or it was just moved away from on one, but he was looking at. I remember doing a post on Single Track about having to get the frames through EN testing and struggling because of the.
When it all changed.
Yeah. I think it was 2009 when it all changed, and they were really struggling to get the frames through. And that's when Keith bought out the 853 tube sets as well.
And Keith from Reynolds.
Sorry, Keith from Reynolds. Yeah. And his intention was to basically create DZB tubing, dual zone butted tubing, so that you could take. So with it having a real high tensile strength, thinning that wall down means that you can actually pull the centre of the tube for the elasticity and the comfort of the bike, rather than relying on the weld points, or rather than relying on like a zero, or like stress over the entire tube, like a 0.9mm wall thickness through the whole tube. And they were struggling with getting frames to roll through testing. So 853 tubes, you're running like 1.1, 1.2mm wall thickness at the head tube, and like 0.9 at the seat tube, and then it's running to 0.5. This is on a top tube. So when it's on a test bed, it's pulling away like this, and it's you see it. It's the stays that are buckling like that, and the top tube that's lifting, and that's where you're getting your ride comfort from. So there was some argument to say that EN testing started to remove some of the ride feel out of products. Well, this was kind of where Reynolds stepped up to the plate and said, hey, we can still make sure that frames pass European standard testing.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't just like it's not just like a little bogo thing. This is like European Union, testing jargon. You know what I mean? This is what they're running. This is like all toys, all this that and the other have to pass these EN testing products.
It's a bit like the old kite marks and things like that on products to say it's actually safe, it's actually going to stay together, it's not going to cause any harm, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you got like when people are running like what was I saying there?
It's talking about kind of like the whole Reynolds 853. Why they brought it out, because of the EN testing actually put much more stricter standards in place, and then frames were failing, or the other option then is actually just run super thick walls, put a load of weight back in the frame, so kind of Reynolds' response was going, well, actually you can have both by having DZB tubes, 853 heat treated tubing, so therefore you get the strength and remain the lightness, and still retain the flexibility where you need it, but not with the welds cracking and falling apart due to new testing. I think it's kind of where he's going with it.
Yeah, I think there's something else to raise there as well, because I've had this said to me, so why do you use 631 if 853 is so good? And if you remember the first frame I did, it had a long axle to crown, so the leverage on the head tube was it run 160mm fork.
Was that the slack line, was it?
Original slack line 853, yeah, 26 inch width.
So it was like 7 years before I started at the...
like a long time. So the leverage, so the wall thickness has to be quite thick at the weld point for it to be able to handle the amount of leverage that's being put through, so it doesn't crack at the weld effectively. But to the point that the 853 tube is kind of negated, because it's using this, as you up the wall thickness, you lose the elasticity in the material. So it's, when I spoke to Keith at Reynolds, he basically said to me, you're using 853 in the wrong application on that frame. He said you should be using 631 because your axle to crowns are so high, so great, because you're running such long forks.
Yeah.
The leverages are greater. So then you're kind of negating the point of 853. 853 is supposed to be smaller, thinner gauged, which means, so with it being the same material, 631 and 853 is a heat treated version of 631. That's a good solid point. I should point that out. I should point that out earlier, I guess. But yeah, it's a heat treated version of 631. So it comes to them in the same form, and then they cold work it in Birmingham. Okay. So so when you're doing a product that has a high axle to crown, you need your weld point to be thicker. So then it's better to use a 631 tube than it is an 853. So you would use 631 in more aggressive frames, so more aggressive applications of riding.
But you could use 853, but effectively you're in a situation though you'd actually be paying for a much more, well not necessarily much more expensive tube set, 'cause it's only a few quid, isn't it, per tube, actually, realistically.
It's just the heat treatment process that puts price on it.
So effectively it's not an expensive process to do to go from 631 to 853. So obviously 853 is the premium material because that's also the premium apart from stainless, which we don't. That's probably a tech talk for another day. But essentially, what we're saying is that if you use 853, we're using material at a wall thickness to actually get the weld strength that actually would have to be redundant for actually any other benefit, because other than getting the 853 sticker on the bike effectively, because actually the wall thickness throughout the rest of the tube would be the same as 631. So therefore, you've got using 853 to get the weld point that you need, which would be the same weld point used on 631, and you have the same wall thickness all through the rest of the tube. So actually, overall, you'd end up with no benefit.
And the tensile strength of the tube will be greater, but it's unnecessary.
So then it'd be really harsh.
Yeah, because your wall thicknesses are far greater.
Yeah.
So, really, why would we use 631 over a heat-treated 4130? Well, did we say that earlier already?
No, we've not really gone into the 4130 thing. We kind of started off doing with our chat about sort of the first bike did was 853, but then actually after the conversation with Keith, it's kind of actually, well, it's a bit like there's no point using 853 in that application. So it's probably worth kind of that was like the slackline. Real slackline was 853, and I remember you did a 631 version of that.
That's right. Well, that was after Keith's advice.
Oh, was it?
Basically, that was the reason.
Yeah.
He said to me that the 853 version, he said you're overbuilding.
Right.
You're not using 853 in the right application. I was like, okay.
Okay.
So that's when I changed it out to running 631. But people say that the 631 version was a little stiffer than the 853. But that was to do with seat tube diameter.
So it went from 27.2 to 30.9.
Yeah, basically, dropper manufacturers couldn't make a quality dropper with inside the small diameter that would fit into a 27.2 seat tube. So because people were wanting to run droppers on hardtails, we had to up the internal diameter of the seat tube, which increased the overall diameter of the tube, which then increased the level of stiffness in that tube. So that was kind of what was what upped the stiffness in that product. But then, when we bought the switchback out, knowing this, I then at that time there was a new tube out from Reynolds which ran a thinner wall thickness in the top tube, and then through the centre of the top tube, I might add, like it ran it down to 0.5, whereas previous it was up to 0.7.
Okay.
And then I also took the the wall thickness of the seat stays down from 0.9 to 0.8. That doesn't sound much,
so
but if you think about it in percentage, it's relatively high.
Yeah, we've not really talked about the seat stays so much, because I know when I spoke to you before, there was a rationale behind going, it's Reynolds 525, is it?
That's right, yeah.
And I think maybe saying before that it's kind of, you chose that because, when you whip around on old racers, road bikes that had like Reynolds tube sets with like 525 stays, that you kind of went down that route because actually you felt that gave a really nice compliant back end on the bike, and still would use Reynolds 525 now. So the whole frame set's Reynolds, isn't it?
The whole frame set is Reynolds. 631 head tubes on every single product.
Yeah.
Full 853 front triangles on anything that has an 853 sticker on it.
Yeah.
And then full 631 with anything with a 631 sticker on it. And then full Reynolds 520 or 525 stays on every single product.
And 520 is that Taiwan Reynolds? Is it?
That's right. I think it's 531 is the UK version of Reynolds 520 in Taiwan. But the reason that they have Reynolds 520 is basically to try, because a lot of the cost in Reynolds tubing comes from the shipping out, So if it's just like a standard 4130 that's cold worked out in Taiwan, there isn't all the shipping implications, shipping costs on top. So what they did was they took the Reynolds 531 protocol, production protocol, and sent it to Taiwan. I think there's only 2 firms out in Taiwan that are allowed to produce Reynolds 520.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what that is.
Okay. Sorry, I always get a bit confused about 520 and 525. It's like, which one is it that we use?
Yeah.
So So we talked about like why we use 631 on the original slackline. We changed it from 853 to 631. But we still run 853 now on the Sherpa and slackline. So is that because of assuming it's because the axle's crown is therefore a lot less.
Yeah.
And therefore,
So like a Sherpa runs 120mm fork.
Yeah.
We say 120mm fork max. We tested at 130 because we always test the products 10mm longer than we need to be testing them.
Yeah.
But We tested at 130. We say it runs 120.
Yeah.
So that's quite a relatively short axle to crown. Same as the slackline 853. Again, short axle to crown, 144 max. Whereas this, massive axle to crown, 160mm fork.
But tested to 170.
Tested to 170.
Yeah.
And the same as the switchback, another axle to crown of like 160. You know, so tested to 170 again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the right tubing for the right application. That's what we're doing here.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth kind of mentioning also that kind of a fun factoid that I wasn't aware of really until I started working here, which is only like 14, 15 months ago. But since we went to the next gen manufacturer, we've actually never ever had a next gen frame return for a frame failure.
Mm.
So people ask us why we CN test, and we only put one frame through all 5 tests that the CN testing then does.
You're allowed to submit 3.
But you
That's
can
the standard.
submit 3,
to submit 3, yeah, because each test is supposed to take the life out of the frame.
Okay, for the whole
Yeah,
bike.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's rational. You can submit 3 to pass the 5 tests, but we do 1 for all 5.
All 5. Yeah. That way we know that we're well over standard like due diligence levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. So that's why we do it.
So I suppose so when I've been talking to customers, I often get questions through. Because I do a lot of emails from customers asking about steel, our bikes, our brand, and sort of warranty and all that kind of jazz. And it's actually quite nice to say to people that in the whole time we're doing next gen frame, we've not had to warranty a frame failure at all for a next gen product. So one could argue that it's maybe overbuilt or a bit too strong, but actually in a way for us it's actually quite nice to know that actually the product goes out and it never comes back for a warranty.
Plus we know that it has an incredible longevity. You know, we know that product will last 3 times the average lifetime of a product.
Mm.
So, you know, pretty spot on really.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you one reason, one application of 853 that we've used on a high axle to crown.
Mm.
And that is, I've not got one here. Have I got one here?
What, the full source?
The full source. I've not got one here. I've got hardtails around the way.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right. Don't worry, Chin. So, see on here. So we've got, rather than using this 631 tube, we've gone for an 853 tube in the same wall thicknesses. Yeah. So, if we were looking just to make a hardtail, we'd be having that same conversation with Keith, where he says to us, Dan, it's unnecessary. It's overbuilding. It's too much. You're negating the rationale for 853. However, because we have a bracket on here, we're looking to increase the tensile strength of this tube. So then, in that instance,
and the impact loading, isn't it? Because the dent resistance as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So in that rationale, then because there's a ripping motion going through the shock, because the shock's being pushed together, it's pulling on the shock mount. As it's pulling on the shock mount, it's trying. As it's pulling on the shock mount, it's trying to create a ripping motion. Okay, so that obviously is an anxiety. You know, don't want that to be. You don't want any returns, this, that, and the other for that. So we need to basically increase the tensile strength of that tube. So that's why we used 853 in that application. So I guess that's the point really, that we try and use the right materials for the right application. And the reason that we don't really in our elite products don't use standard 4130s or heat treated 4130s is quite simply because they don't have the same level of tensile strength and longevity that Reynolds tubing has.
But also I guess it's back to that point before, wasn't it, about saying actually go with 4130 to get the same strength at the weld points and the same strength for the whole tube set. The wall thicknesses have to go so more. Actually then the bike becomes really, really super harsh. I mean, there's various articles flying around, but it's kind of interesting about different people's views on how bikes ride. But if we went for plain gauge, we could do exactly the same design in plain gauge, but obviously the bike would probably be, how much heavier? Half a kilo heavier? That much, or?
Probably looking at a pound, yeah.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at a pound. So, we're getting
the wind-up sign.
We're getting the wind-up sign. We're getting the wind-up sign, Jim.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say about like brace joints against welded joints, but maybe we'll just save that for another time.
That's a whole different thing.
Whole different thing.
Or why do we use yokes?
Or why do we use yokes? Dum dum dum. Tune in next time for why we use. Sweet. All right. Signing off till Tech Talk 2.
And I guess kind of any questions or anything for clarification, or I don't know if you want to send Dan love letters, that's fine.
Or Stu, because he's pretty handsome.
And single. So, all joking. Moving on. Thanks very much.
Perfect, thanks.